I'm your host, Shlomo. This is my co-host, Vic.
Hello.
Say hello, Vic.
Hello.
I'm very excited about today. We're going to see and talk to an old friend of mine, Ian, over at Push Protocol, which is push.org. They're a business that is venture funded as well as community funded. They are working on a decentralized protocol for communications in Web3. And Vic seemed to really enjoy a lot of the developer situations happening out there, right?
Yeah, and this is really true because push protocol solves very natural problem we have at Web3 stuff. It's a communication, like back and forth communication with people, which we don't have so much Rails already developed for Web3.
Right. So let's just get straight into this. This is Ian from Push Protocol. We are live with Ian Levinus of Push Protocol, right? Push.org.
That's right.
Oop, things sounding weird in the coffee shop, but we're going to get through this together. Ian, thank you for giving us the time. Ian and I are old friends. As we go around the conference circuit, if we're in the same town, we hang out a bunch. We get each other into the various things we could do. We are old DAO building people. We played around with Ukraine DAO back in the day, in crypto times. That's back in the day.
Really, way back in the day, yeah.
Right. But really, that's like 2 years ago. Like, I can still remember it. It's not that far away. But yeah, I wanted to bring you on, Ian, because you just got a great position over at an organization I want to know more about. Let's start with you. And what do you do at Push Protocol, and what is Push?
So let's start with what Push is. Just dive right into it. Push is a protocol, aka a set of rules for sending notifications between not just wallets, but communities or anything on chain, including protocols themselves. Push, in its most basic sense, facilitates decentralized chat, but that includes audio and video too, and other things. And what I do there is, that's why I call myself the DAO chef or something like that, because I lead all things DAO. I lead the community on a intentional plan towards progressive decentralization of the entire ecosystem. So right now, most of what that looks like is I lead and structure governance, and I wrangle together various people around the world to do DAO-related things.
Pretty awesome. Let's get into that, what that really means in terms of DAO-related things over at Push, and how that relates and is the way to work in making this protocol, right? Which is is this open source?
Yes, it is. We have all kinds of kits and SDKs and everything else and what have you on GitHub, and we're always adding to that. We're also always adding different chains to support. One of our most recent ones was Arbitrum, for example.
I mean, I think we have to, right? That's this quarter's little baby, I think. And so how does that DAO structure work in making this a business for you guys, right? So basically people are saying, we need you guys, we need Push to bridge over into, let's say, optimism, right? And so this person brings it up, and then that gets bubbled up into the community to decide if you guys are going to do it. Is that what's going on over there? Or?
Essentially, yeah, in the sense that we'll integrate anyone. We're open to conversations and integrations with everyone all over the world. We're truly global already. We don't restrict anyone, and we welcome everyone. So as you can see, even when you go through our list of existing partners and integrations, it's just all over the place, all over different chains, trying to bring the world together through decentralized comms. You know, that's a vision that's been in the space for quite some time in all kinds of different ways. But we have, in our efforts so far, hundreds of integrations in a community of over 100,000. So it's a pretty good start, to say the least.
Totally. And then what exactly, let's get really into what Push is doing for me, right? Like, what does that mean for a decentralized communication layer? Does that mean Barcaster? Is that what this stuff is, or is it a different thing?
In a sense, it's different. What I mean specifically is, if you boil it down in the most basic way to what Push does, that's why it's called Push. That's its usage. it pushes notifications in different senses, different contexts, between wallets, like I said, between communities and community members, including DAOs, and even between protocols. Now, that can look like gas tracking on Ethereum. That can also look like NFT artists talking to their biggest fans in that way. That can also look like video calls made through even incentivized chat that you pay for because it's with someone you really respect in the space and you want to support their work.
Very cool. Vic, you're the developer on this conversation. What are your thoughts when you look at a project like this?
It's very intriguing, I would say, and I have a lot of particular questions regarding the implementation because the stuff like this is really what Web3 is missing at this point, like transparent and reliable message delivery outside of the Web3 stuff. It's what was missing. I've seen quite similar, I would say, projects related to the same problem, to communications, instantaneous messaging, plus streaming, blah, 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 all inside the stuff. But you took distinct role just to be a layer of interaction between users. And as a developer, what is interesting for me, how can I get the server-side originated pushes, where I can send this to, like, to any user, where user gonna receive this in a browser or in an app, like what is the workflow of message broadcasting?
Well, actually, I can actually answer that in quite a simple sense because it all boils down to, at the end of the day, wallet addresses at the most basic level of the infrastructure. So if you extrapolate that upward as well, of course, that's how you get notifications within an app, for example, within a DeFi app related to your leverage is running out or you're about to be margin called or something like that. If your wallet is connected to that app, then you can receive notifications even if you're not on that app site or in that app at the time.
What kind of notifications? I mean, we have the Apple and Android native notifications, correct? We have web pushes. Like, what do you support?
So what we support now, as I've said, boils down to, in the most basic sense, not, for example, Apple native or Android native per se notifications, but it's mainly related beyond the wallet address structure to different languages through programming languages. For example, we have specific kits to support notifications through React and mobile development there. That's one that's newer and related things like that. So in a shorter sense, in a simpler sense, wallet addresses is one way to think about it, and supporting the infrastructure of push through different programming languages and their SDKs is another way to think about it.
Okay.
So an individualized SDK being put on our GitHub, plugged into our infrastructure one at a time as each language is supported fully.
Okay, so your receiver is not the browser, it's not the device, it's actually the application which integrates your SDK in it.
Yes, and inside of that integration, it all boils down to the wallet addresses because the facilitation is by wallet address, even in the sense of the application.
Yeah, and that's a smart move because you don't have to pay fees for message delivery and
precisely.
All that stuff.
There aren't,
Okay, so you became your own push gateway if you're a developer, so it's pretty much good. And regarding the wallets, for example, can I say that it's possible to send from your from my application to your MetaMask wallet? Is it possible to do or not?
Yes, it is possible to do that specifically because, for example, if you're trying to send from an application to a MetaMask wallet, we are already integrated with MetaMask Snap for things like that.
Okay. So this is like pretty much huge advantage. And what about the native wallets like I don't know, mobile wallets or per se, who support push?
Yes, there are ways to do that. Integrations are being developed more and more by the day. In the most basic sense, the easiest way to understand all of our supported integrations are through the chains we support. It's literally like if we don't support the chain yet, the integration doesn't work yet. But we plan to be the most interoperable protocol in all of these senses. Right now, it's 5 or 6 chains. I'll send you the link right after the call. But yeah, what's noted up there is accurate, except also Arbitrum is the latest.
Okay. I mean, from the wallet applications like, I don't know, Trust Wallet, etc. Do you have some native wallets which support push, receive push?
Beyond MetaMask, the easy answer and the true answer, beyond MetaMask, we don't really go that route as much as we go the route of chains and other organizations, as you saw. But we are expanding more and more into wallets this year. And I can and will actually connect you guys further with the team after we talk here. And like, basically, they can give you all sorts of specifics on that even I can't.
Well, that's cool because, just to say one thing is we developed the Zealous wallets in-house for Zealous, and so I think Vic is kind of like with that and some of our other clients.
Because what I'm getting at is that
yes.
It doesn't, just because it's not there and you don't see many wallets on the site, we're open to all of that. We're literally open to any kind of integration, and we'll just start conversations and start seeing how it might work out in practice.
So I'm not super smart in this fashion. So can I just ask one question just for why go after chains first as opposed to wallets? Like, what was that decision? Only because I'm not well versed in this, and I'm curious why why you guys would choose one or the other, especially for the end user. I feel end user is more wallet based than chain based. I could be wrong. But
there's a twofold answer to that, to my knowledge, and also, of course, Harsh can speak even more to this because he founded the whole thing himself, basically. But what I can say for sure is that we started with chains because of this initial vision, for example, of having large-scale push notifications for like all users or even a major subset user of a chain. One example would be what I already said about an Ethereum gas tracker, something that's very widely needed and usable like that, just being deployed immediately, large scale, that easily. So that was one part of that. Another part of onboarding chains like that was getting popular with the native core devs of those chains first, and then moving on to other use cases. We're a dev heavy community in a good way. We started from an ETH global hack, the whole product, about 4 years ago.
How much I hear this started, for well-established companies like yourself that have been around for a couple of years in this space. So now they're dinosaurs in the space because, and trusted in the space, that they came from an ETH Denver hackathon. Our time at ETH Denver a couple months ago was my first time there, and I totally get it. Like when I came back, telling Vic, is like, Vic, you are the person that needs to be here as the dev guy in our crew. It's like,
it's true. And even though our particular hack wasn't there, we've had a major presence at ETH Denver every year, not this year, but basically every other year. And we love it there because of just the sheer energy. There's no other better way to say it. It's kind of unparalleled. Yeah. I mean, of course, DevCon's the same, but those are the two that come top of mind for me.
DevCon? Awesome. Good choice. Vic, what would be an actual practical thing we would do with Push? Like, where's your head spinning that if you just had to pop out an idea that we would play around with the Push? Where's your head going with this?
Essentially, it's a very good thing to, any feedback from the applications. I mean, if I have an application and something happened, on the Web3, we don't have a very reliable way to communicate that with user on the wallet basis. And Push is really cool place because a lot of channel can be integrated into this stuff. But it all depends on the pricing. Like how expensive is the pushes?
Yeah, that's definitely true. And right now, the easy and true answer there too is we're essentially onboarding people for free until the network grows more. It's essentially gasless until the network grows more. One important thing to mention about that a lot of our existing integrations are excited about is later this year, right around Q3, we're actually going to finally have full scale push nodes, in their first iteration. So that becomes a fully proof of stake network for all of this and makes it even more fleshed out.
What is the purpose of these nodes? It's kind of interesting. What do you mean?
Basically, first of all, what you would think they're supposed to and they will be validating the communications requests that get sent and making sure they get sent to the right places. And then the second major purpose is, of course, security of the whole thing, security of the whole network. It's quite big already. So it'd be ideal and it will be ideal that we have a wide array of trusted nodes, especially from existing integrations as well as new integrations. We want to have a virtuous cycle of sorts like that where people integrate and get even more deeply involved and start nodes and do other things.
So basically, you're building your peer-to-peer delivery infrastructure. Am I correct?
Yep.
This is cool. This is cool. Well, it's actually very interesting because at Visible Magic, we build the blockchain infrastructure for clients. And it's very interesting how can we participate in all that and help your network grow. So let's think about, because
I can get you in
really,
touch
really...
with everyone. I work with everyone over there. I work with all the dev teams. My only bosses per se are the founders, so we can get in touch with them too.
I love this.
This is
I
cool.
love this happy circle going on here. What would Can I talk about the activity that's going on? Like, what does that look like? What is the most used chain going on? What is the most typical notification being sent? Right? Like, what sort of trends do you see with the uses being over at Push? Does that make sense? Like, what is
Yeah,
the top
definitely.
level things?
Definitely. So the first thing to mention, of course, is that even as we're expanding, it's just natural given how much of the industry it controls, how many dApps are on the Ethereum chain, that most of our activity still comes from Ethereum and Ethereum related dApps and so on, and Ethereum related communities, of course. That extrapolates outward to the wider answer too. It still mostly comes from Ethereum, although I will add that we're seeing a lot of interest from other chains like Arbitrum that are newer, but for example, doing a lot within their DAO with all sorts of other projects in their own right, and they're very interested in things like decentralized notifications. And I personally see it as possible and something that isn't happening yet for us to integrate with DAO working groups and have notifications for like deliverables, proposals, votes, anything you can think of that's practical in that sense could be very interesting. Because right now, as we know, DAOs as well live in a lot of Web2 applications in Discord and Telegram and so on.
Yep. I mean, that doesn't kill me yet, just because there's no place worth our time to migrate to, even if we wanted to really do it. That's how I feel personally. Those things still need to be built, and I'm still not sure what a fully Web3 sort of social network would really mean to me. Like as a user, but just like all these protocols of NFTs and such, users need to stop thinking about these words and really like go back to use case of the end user sort of thing. But that's just my rant. And my fight with Web3 all the time is I'm so down with Web3. I am 100% into our beautiful little dark forest of an other internet that we get to do. But we still got to remember what's the point to the end user. It's
That's another thing. So one quick thing to mention on that, what's the point to the end user? One thing we're doing this year and prioritizing within the entire ecosystem is allowing for things like push improvement proposals from everyone in the community. So if someone thinks and knows, for example, hey, the UX of these onboarding portals and these applications is really not great and really won't attract anyone beyond these really deep Web3 people, they can literally make a proposal on how to change that UX. That proposal can get passed, and even the foundation UX team can just start working on it.
Love it. Vic, do you have any last thoughts as we kind of wrapping this up? Anything you want to make sure we get answered or?
I'm cool.
Nice.
One thing to mention, you mentioned before in closing, sort of like basically this idea of what is the DAO within all of this. In year one, right now, it's important to mention it's a growth vehicle for the ecosystem. That's its primary purpose, and that purpose will evolve over time, including next year.
Right. Your customers at the moment, your end user is the developer at the moment. It is not the receiver of notification. That is not your actual customer, right?
And correct. So and projects, greater groups of developers, but as well, more emergent use cases like incentivized chat communities. So anyone that would fall within that vein, anyone that has enough fans to get them to join into such communities. Incentivized chat meaning buying an NFT, buying a token to chat with the person or the group.
Right. And it's not necessarily an NFT or a token, but when's the coin? When are you guys having a coin like everybody else?
Yeah. Are you asking as well, though, when does Push have a coin? Because we do.
Yes. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I haven't checked.
It's called Push.
What? Oh, is it? I will check. Ian, we are going to run into each other in Austin in like 2 weeks at Consensus.
I'll be speaking there twice so far.
What? Okay, we're going to make sure people know about that, and I'm, of course, going to support. Give us some ways for people to find you.
I'm very open. You know me very well. I always share my Telegram too and my Twitter, first of all. So I'm expat crypto 3, the number 3 on Twitter and Telegram. And then in terms of the DAO and the greater Push ecosystem, follow Push DAO and Push Protocol on Twitter and jump into the Push Protocol forum on Discourse, as we know, as all DAO forums are hosted. And we'll get with you there.
Love it. Thank you again for joining us, and I'll see you in a couple of Consensus. Everyone, go find a push.org, Push Protocol, and my buddy Ian. Let's all get
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was really, really interesting.
Oh, hey, before we sign off, Vic, what should everyone do?
Click and subscribe.
Boom. Thank you. Have a great week. See you all next week.